And of no song is this more true than the first country song ever to sell 1 million records, first recorded by Vernon Dalhart back in 1924. The Prisoner song has a simple but a strong lesson that when a man is as low as he can go, when he's at rock bottom, fame, fortune, nothing else is important except that somebody loves him.
Oh, I wish I had someone to love me, someone to call me their own. Oh, I wish I had someone.
This is Rod, and you're tuned in to Down Memory Lane, Letcher County Memories for the third week of June of 1920. Mr. and Mrs. Ed Hinchley and children, after an extended visit to our town, started on their return to Oklahoma. We regret very much to part with them, for they are such good people. A good, quiet, and refreshing rain began Saturday morning and continued almost all day. James Hinchley will soon end an 8-year siege of service as carrier en route from Wallace to Whitesburg. He has just had 15 children at his home. The carnival didn't stop in Whitesburg. Persons who claim to know say it was too dirty, and if so, Whitesburg wants no such thing. Excellent sermons were preached and good crowds attended the preaching service at each of the 2 places at Sand Lick on Sunday. Young Lawrence Maggard, who left this county and joined the Army, and after spending 21 months in France and Germany, he is here visiting friends. He is the son of Sam Maggard of Little Collie and brother to Will Maggard of the Caudle Store. Walter Daniel lost a cow, and Emerson Bentley lost 2 in the past few days. Again, the price of paper has advanced, and our price will have to go up in proportion. After July 1st, we restock, and there will be an advanced price. For sale, we have the John D. W. Collins home on High Street, and it is excellent residence and is an ideal location with fine water at a very reasonable figure. True, we are all to blame in a way for it, but that stretch of cliff along the upper end of town remaining unfenced is a rotten shame. Hundreds of dollars worth of stock has tumbled. It still remains a death pit for the stock. Louis Weinhardt left yesterday for Hazard, where he will assume management of the bottling department of the Coca-Cola plant. The weather for the past few days has been so cold, people have had to keep fires constantly burning in their grates. Homer B. Dameron, a good Mayking businessman, and Miss Belvy Adams, daughter of Mose R. Adams, were married and are away on a wedding tour. Fess Whitaker is now in jail, serving a sentence imposed on him by the circuit court and its last session. Sheriff Tolliver has charge of the jail, and Mac Yount is acting as deputy for the time being. In jail, Fess declares that he will be a candidate for the county judge at the next election. Numbers of inquiries have reached us when the Letcher County would elect a successor to Judge Sam Collins, who lately resigned as county judge. We are glad that Willie Surgett has decided to divide up his property into small blocks and offer them for sale. This property lies in Solomon Branch, about 3/4 of a mile from the courthouse, and is in sight of the high school, the best school in eastern Kentucky. It will be the thing to grab one of these baby farms. Henry Williams is in Lexington, where it is said that he has undergone a serious operation for kidney trouble. During this week of 1920, on June 23rd, Miss Lizzie Lewis drifted peacefully toward heaven to collect her angel wings. She was the daughter of the late Joe Fairchild, a member of the church for 32 years and one of the very best women. She was 58 years old, the loving and faithful wife of Newt Lewis, and a loving mother. She was the daughter of the late Joe Fairchild and the loving mother of 7 children. Also on June 23rd, we bid farewell to Aunt Mary Caudle, age 75, of Sandley. She is the wife of the late Dixon Caudle Sr. and the mother of 9 children with a motherly disposition. The big, new Daniel Boone Hotel will be open to the public in about 10 days. This is one of the best and costliest buildings ever erected in the mountains. It is to be run in a modern way, and every accommodation possible will be offered to the public. Already nearly $100,000 has been spent on its erection and in furnishing it. The owners from the beginning of its erection did not figure that it would be a paying proposition, but they believed that the traveling public throughout the mountains were entitled to accommodations equal to the best to be found anywhere, so they pooled their money to accomplish this end. Already, with the best schools in the mountains, and now with the best hotel, Felix Fields, Jason Cox, and D.W. Collins, and Sheriff Tolliver went to the east side of the county Monday night and captured 2 alleged moonshiners. They destroyed 4 complete stealing outfits, 2 others without steals, and a lot of meal and malt. For rent this week, there are 3 nice rooms upstairs at the residence of Mr. and Mrs. R.B. Bentley in Whitesburg. The residence is suitable for lighting, housekeeping, and for roomers. The rooms can be rented, furnished, or unfurnished. So apply to Mr. and Mrs. R.B. Bentley of Whitesburg. Young Edgar Bentley came in from his post of duty at Camp Taylor for a few days' stay with his parents, Dr. and Mrs. J.M. Bentley. And for sale this week, the E.C. Bentley Watch and Jewelry Repair Shop located in Whitesburg. Everything is complete for a reasonable figure. An 8x6x4 refrigerator in good condition at a cheap price. Write or come by the Imperial Elkhorn Coal Company in Sargent. Get your ice at the Whitesburg Ice Plant. Good clean ice made from distilled water. Ice delivered in town is $1 per 100, 80 cents at the plant, or 80 cents shipped with customer paying the shipping charge. That's at the Prairie Ice and Bottling Company in Whitesburg.
Listen to the rhythm of the falling rain, telling me just what a fool I've been. I wish that it would go and let me cry in vain, and let me be alone again. The only girl I care about has gone away, looking for a brand new start. But little does she know that when she left that day, along with her she took my heart. Rain, please tell me now, does that seem fair? For her to steal my heart away when she don't care. I can't love another when my heart's somewhere far away. The only girl I care about has gone away, looking for a brand new start. But little does she know that when she left that day, along with her she took my heart. been. I wish that it would go and let me cry in vain, and let me be alone again. Oh, listen to the falling rain. Pitter patter, pitter patter. Oh, listen to the falling.
Hey, this is Rod, and you are tuned in to Down Memory Lane, Letcher County Memories, as we feature information and highlights from memories of the past. We are now in March and April of 1921. And as we begin the trip, we find that an airplane passes over the town of Whitesburg at a very low altitude, as a number of persons in the town witnessed the passage on Saturday night, March 12th, in this year of 1921. It was no more than 1,000 feet above the earth, and the lights were plainly visible, and the rattle of the machinery could be heard. No one had any idea of the destination of the plane from where it came from. In other news, we find that Pat Salyers will probably erect a wholesale and retail lumber plant here in Whitesburg area. The Millstone Post Office has been moved from one end of the bridge to over in town near the amusement hall. Mr. and Mrs. Henry Finning, Sr. of Painesville, spent a week with Mr. Henry Finning, Jr. B.F. Gish and Ollie Smith returned home from a fishing trip near Ombre. S.A. Collins visited relatives on Smoot Creek. Wyatt Holbrook and Leslie and Holbert Picklesmeyer went down to Whitesburg on Sunday. Mr. and Mrs. A. J. Lynch and children and Mrs. W. T. Davis of Seco visited C.O. Hittem. John Hoglan has completed a nice residence for A.C. Hunsaker at Sergeant. Harlan Combs of Collie moved to Sergeant, where he will be in charge of the clubhouse. Henry Leach and son Virgil returned from a visit to Columbus, Cleveland, and Weston, Ohio. Weddings this week include Miss Oda Bentley and Mr. Ernest Cantrell. Also, A.N. Webb and Lena Cole. And H.H. Crace and Miss Viola Wells. It is during this month that Sam Collins is appointed U.S. Marshal for the Eastern District of Kentucky. In the Blackie area this week, we find that Blackie organizes a Masonic Lodge. The Mary Theater in Blackie opens on April 1st. A new shoe repair shop opens in Blackie, and Dr. Ison is erecting a new hospital near Blackie. Down Memory Lane, Letcher County Memories would like to send out a great big hello to J.E. Back and John Hamilton of Blackie. Mrs. Rosa Parks resigns her position as chief operator at the telephone office in Whitesburg and is replaced by Miss Ethel Weld. Mr. R.M. Morton of Blackie is a candidate for the Letcher County Jailer. It is at this time that Down Memory Lane, Letcher County Memories, 1921, wishes to send out a great big hello to a number of people, including Thelma Holbrook, Henry Finning Jr., John Gordon, Dr. Whitaker, John C. Brown, John D.W. Collins, Marion Back, Willard Collier, John P. Adams, Noah Bentley, Mrs. Maggie Swally, Mrs. D.W. Fields, Robert Blair, Felix Fields, G.W. Whitaker, Henry Garrison, J. Wash Adams, and Kelly Fields. I'm Rod, and you're tuned in to Down Memory Lane with County Memories for the month of March of 1921. And from the community of Olvie, we find that Ed Bedwell and wife have moved to Olvie. Mrs. J.C. Collins receives a visit from her brother O.F. Brown from Montana. Bud Fields catches a 29-pound catfish. Wayne Taylor visits relations in Crafts College. Louis Goins has moved to Count Branch. Miss Molly Whitaker of Hammond visits neighbors and relatives. Robert Newsom and W.A. Patterson takes a fishing trip to Cornishville. And J.A. Holbrook store building is progressing nicely. Now, due to the free flow of Mountain Dew, there is a gunfight battle that takes place on Pine Creek with over 100 shots fired. Who all the participants were is not known, but 2 men were seriously wounded. The names were Engle and Singleton from across the mountain in Virginia. Death has once again invaded another home and robbed it of its head, the mother. Mrs. Benjack Adams, at the time of her flight from Earth, was 60 years of age and was a proud mother of 12 children, 11 of them now living and grown. She was the daughter of the late Henry Craft and for years had been an earnest and faithful member of the Making Baptist Church. No lady in our vicinity stood higher or was more deeply respected than Mrs. Adams, and the neighborhood had suffered an irreparable loss. She will be much missed from her soft-occupied seat in the little church, and the entire section will long remember her. Your chronicle takes the liberty of extending the entire family and friends the sympathy of many people in the community. May a rift in the dark cloud be opened, and a ray of God's sunshine chase away the gloom. On 3/28/1921. In the Whitesburg local news, Dr. and Mrs. J.M. Bentley are now the proud parents of a bright Easter baby, a girl. Sam Collins has now returned from a business trip to Louisville. S.E. Adams, a merchant from Mayking, was seen in Whitesburg this week. Monroe Fields is a candidate for the current judge. Stephen Combs Jr. is building a new home on his property at the west end of Main Street. The steel for the erection of the bridge leading into the Lewis addition has now arrived, and 2 permits for marriage was issued this week, one for Robert Hart, 19, of Seco, and Flossie Carter, age 17. Also, Arnold Engle, age 23, and Betsy Bryant has filed for permits for marriage, and they were issued this week. In the Jenkins area, we find that Birdline defeated Jenkins at a baseball game on Sunday. We find that J.M. Kinzer and Lauren Day traveled to Huntington, West Virginia. The Women's Club held a sale this week and made over $70. Mrs. L.B. Abbott leaves for a visit to Newark, New Jersey. J.F. Barnett has the month. The William Hunsucker family has a new addition that arrived on Friday, a boy. They have named him Billy Jr. And Margaret Stump visits kinfolk in Louisa. During the second week of April of 1921, the news of the death of Node Starkey, well known all over this section as manager of the Whitesburg Telephone Company, has reached here on Saturday morning and created a profound sensation. Mr. Starkey passed away at a hospital in Louisville where he had been undergoing treatment for cancer of the stomach. He was brought to his home at Pikeville on Monday, where memorial services were held in the presence of a large concourse of relatives and friends, after which the body was sent to his old home at Somerset for interment. The death of Mr. Starkey removes from all rank of the business profession one of the strongest and most popular members, and his loss is strongly felt. He was a highly prized member of the Masonic fraternity, and the interment was conducted by that order in connection with other orders to which he belonged. He leaves a widow and a large circle of friends. It is announced this week that the candidacy of Frank Blair for Justice of the Upper Whitesburg District will be observed. Frank is one of the young popular citizens, a hard-working farmer, and is admired by everybody. He is the son of the late William L. Blair, and he was reared on Christ's College. Also announced this week is H.R. Yount for candidates of a tax assessor or assessor of Letcher County, subject to the Republican voters in the August 1921 primary. He also is known for being a 33-year teacher in Letcher County Public School. J. Henry Hall, a successful co-operator from Whitco, was up in Lexington Sunday and said that he has leased the Clinco Mining Company's plant at Ulvey, and he would also operate it. It is to be known hereafter as the Commercial Mining Company. Mr. Hall has left the northbound train Saturday evening, enabled a large bunch of Whitesburgers to slide off at Blackie and chapter the town. In doing so, only one shot was fired, and R. Monroe Fields did that from the stage of the Blackie Theater. And more than 300 fell victims to his ambitions to become circuit judge of Letcher County. The opening of the new Blackie Theater prompted the visitors from here to go, and the same could be said of the great number of other persons present. More from Millstone this week. We find that Miss Nanny Craft visited relatives at Hemp Hill. Miss Betsy Bates is visiting at Dry Creek. Miss Delana Hayes of Whitesburg visited on Millstone. Miss Letty Jane Webb is visiting M.V. Bates. Mrs. S.J. Tolliver visited her daughter, who is teaching on Millstone. Arlo Parsons was visiting at Lowfire. Merlin Amberg's family has moved to Blackie. Miss Betsy and Gladys Bates visited Fleming Neon. Miss Violet Crace was down from McRobert. P.H. Ison and Luther returned from Cincinnati with a fine automobile. Connell Johnson and Mrs. D. Tolliver and Gladys Bates visited at Crashville, and Mrs. C.M. Bates visited her parent. Speaking of Crashville, Mr. and Mrs. M.V. Bates and daughter Gladys of Millstone visited M.D. Bates. J.W. Bates purchased a fine sawmill, and the weather has been perfect on Crashville for April so far. Uncle Watson Caudle and his wife of Sand Lake visited Uncle Chunk Craft. Miss Sarah Bell Holbrook of McRoberts is a guest of E.A. Craft. And also from Millstone, a large crowd attended services on the head of Millstone on Sunday. Leonard Rogers and D.A. Parsons visited C.O. Stidham at Lowfare. Mrs. Steva Webb was on Millstone for a visit. Reverend Edgar S. Foster preached on Millstone on Friday night. Mrs. Harlan Combs and Miss Virginia Moore of Sargent were visiting on Millstone this week also. Mrs. B.F. Wright was visiting from Seco. A.M. and George Spears went to Greenup on business. L.G. Turnmeyer moved to his new home at Pleasant View. Gus Pigman of Pine Top was visiting on Millstone this week, and W.H. Potter of Matter was on Millstone for a visit.
A child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away, and he was talking for I knew it. And as he grew, he'd say, I'm gonna be like you, Dad. You know I'm gonna be like you. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know we'll have a good time then. My son turned other day. He said, thanks for the ball, Dad, come on, let's play. Can you teach me to throw? I said, not today, I got a lot to do. He said, that's okay, and he walked away, but his smile never dimmed. Said, I'm gonna be like him, yeah, you know I'm gonna be like him. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, the little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know we'll have a good time then. Well, he came from college just the other day, so much like a man I just had to say, son, I'm proud of you, can you sit for a while? He shook his head and he said with a smile, what I'd really like, Dad, is to borrow the car keys. See you later, can I have them please? And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, son, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, Dad, you know we'll have a good time then. I've long since retired, my son's moved away. I called him up just the other day. I said, I'd like to see you if you don't mind. He said, I'd love to, Dad, if I can find the time. You see, my new job's a hassle and the kids are the flu, but it's sure nice talking to you, Dad. It's been sure nice talking to you. And as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me, he'd grown up just like me. My boy was just like me. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, son, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, Dad. We're gonna have a good time there.
A dark and gloomy clouds fitted across the skies, and snow fell through the air. As the day lengthened, the temperature became colder and colder, and by Monday morning heavy coats of ice had gathered over everything, and limp and lifeless lay nearly every whit of garden vegetables in the field or the garden. Again Monday night, as if not yet satisfied with the cutting destruction, the Frost King came again, and what little may have been left was laid to rest with the other dead. The amusement-loving public of Whitesburg might as well get ready to enjoy itself, for a new and updated movie and vaudeville playhouse is to be opened up for regular shows on May 9th. It will be known as the Pearl Theater, and under the management of A.C. Brown, an experienced and successful showman. Now listen up. While you were sleeping last week, the grand jury prospects have been impaneled for the upcoming court session, and includes M.F. Brown, E.M. Baker, J.P. Sturgill, A.J. Krager, John D. Caudle, R.R. Yance, Spencer Johnson, Dave Adams, E.A. Kraft, M.R. Adams, and W.W. Surja. Also, the trial jury has been impaneled, and they include W.W. Hogg, Isaac Day, Kelly Fields, E.A. Holbrook, Joe McKnight, William Quillen, L.R. Hale, Isom Caudle, Hiram Banks, Letcher Collins, Mrs. Elijah Collins, and Mrs. Mac Yance. Also impaneled is George Isom, Noah Bentley, Marion Hall, J.C. Dixon, L.N. Fields, H.L. Day, E.E. Bentley, Solly Yance, Charlie Maggard, Mrs. Clark Day, and Mrs. Jane Brashear. Hey, I'm Rod, and this has been your Down Memory Lane Letcher County Memories for the month of April of 1921. Join us again the next time for more Letcher County Memories from Down Memory Lane.